Alrighty, folks. Coming at you guys today with a 1.7 predecessor heroes tier list, looking specifically at the legacy map. How are heroes stacking up on the legacy map? It's a little bit different from the original map, as there's more verticality. You got to get in and out of the jungle or over top of obstacles more efficiently to really get fast rotations off. So there's just some slight differences there. If you go on a meta city, you can't view specific win rates or pick rates for the legacy map. You have ranked specific win rates and pick rates, but not for the legacy map specifically. Legacy has been all that me and the goons have been playing basically since it came out with the release of 1.7. So let's get into a tier list. It's been almost 2 weeks since it's out. I've played 70 plus games, maybe closer to 80 games on Legacy since it came out. Normally I'd like to get these tier lists out a little sooner, but we did a state of the game video about 1 week after 1.7, and now about 2 weeks after 1.7, we're finally getting around to a tier list. Had a busy week, put up an extra Morn gameplay for you guys as well, if you want to go check that one out. Doing a little troll building in solo lane. Morn is ridiculously strong right now. I think you have an idea of where he's going to be landing on this tier list, huh? But let's go right through it. I've organized them as most overtuned, top picks for their role in the second tier. In the mid tier, just decent heroes, the kind of average middle ground heroes. And then next up, better options available. Heroes that are still good, especially if you're good with them, but there just seems to be better options to compete with them. And then bottom tier, low expectations. Heroes that when I see them picked on my team, I'm not holding high expectations for my teammates' performance on them. Keep in mind, I should say, right now I think is about the most balanced we've ever had predecessor as far as the heroes go. Just about all of these heroes are at least viable if you're practiced with them, if you understand the game, if you know your opponent, if you're building well into your opponent. You can realistically get good value with any of these heroes right now. I say that every patch that it's about the tightest it's ever been, and I think that's a good sign. If every patch it's getting a little bit tighter and tighter. There have been some questionable balance changes recently, especially coming in 1.7, buffing random heroes that did not need buffs at all. But let's get right into it without further ado. Also timestamped below to the final tier list. I'll have it zoomed out and fit all on the screen better for you guys. So if you want to just go straight to that and then just check out, look at that tier list and then say, oh my gosh, I got to get to these comments quick and tell him he's wrong, go ahead and go for that. Timestamp below so you can get to it more efficiently. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Let's get right into it. We'll go through alphabetical order as they are organized here. Argus, kind of middle of the road. I have seen games where Argus does do well, but it seems like he doesn't really outcompete most of the mid laners the majority of the time. But if you are good with him, you can definitely have a good game with him. Viable at support too, having a ranged stun and whatnot, and the ult to finish people off if they get away. Aurora, I don't think she's as strong as she once was. You don't see Aurora nearly as much anymore as you used to. I think if anything, we'll have her towards the top of the decent heroes tier. I could have, I guess, lettered these as well, S, A, B, C, D, but yeah, it is what it is. If I put those letters on here, people will go in the comments and say, I can't believe you had this hero in C tier, this is an A tier hero. Okay, go watch Penzo's tier list where he's talking about only the top 1%. We're talking about the average player base here. Aurora, actually, it most likely will end up sliding her, but I'll leave her up here first. She does have the double jump, which is pretty decent for getting over some of the obstacles on the legacy map. Boris, blatantly overtuned, a top 3 win rate hero right now in the game. No reason for him to receive the buffs that he did receive, but he got them. Something you got to deal with right now. He's a threat, he's a menace. Play around him. He has crazy healing as good build options with Ashbringer, or you can go tank Boris. Either one is pretty fun and pretty viable right now. Blatantly overtuned. Count, seems like she's pretty much always a top pick. It takes a little bit of getting used to be good with her, but if you are good with her, she's still insane, still has crazy mobility. The teleport is very strong for getting up out of the jungle or getting over ledges. Not super counterable. Obviously, if you catch her in a strong stun and she's full damage built, she's going to go down quick, but just a very strong hero. Crazy sustain too. in lane or after team fights / during team fights with those blood pools. So just definitely a top pick at both mid, solo, and jungle. Great flex option in all three. Crunch. Not seeing Crunch too much. Doesn't have the best verticality options for getting up on top of things or getting over things. You can jump and do the uppercut, but then it requires you to have your 3 ability cycle on that uppercut to pull that off, which is very hit or miss. But at least does have some verticality to catch aerial targets. Probably going to be towards the lower end of top picks. He just always seems strong, fights really well after level 6 in solo lane too. Decker. Decker actually I think is better on Legacy than she is on the original map. The double jump passive is just, you're going to get consistent value out of it. Still strong augments, whether you're going the ult one for armor shred and a bigger ult, stun radius, or you're going for teammate move speed on the double jump. Both of them feel very good. Has good abilities to play around the verticality in duo lane with the middle raised platform. Still, I think just a very impactful player. As long as the cage doesn't get nerfed, this is always going to be a very impactful hero, right? Drongo. Generally, there are better options available right now than Drongo at the carry role. Doesn't bring anything too unique or special. The heal grenade is still good. You still can play around the heal grenade and help your team out a lot, but just not, it doesn't compete with some of the top end carries, I don't think. Just not as good of a passive as them, really. But still does crazy damage. Build Plasma Blade on him now, it feels really good. Feng Mao, he's got to be up here, very similar to Countess, right? Great mobility, great scaling into the late game if he gets his passive stacks on. If your enemy team has a Feng Mao that's ahead, you are in major trouble. You know, that's just the nature of Feng Mao. Not the easiest to play. You need to play him near his limit to get the most out of him, but still a great hero. Gadget. Gadget is borderline top picks for her role, just because she is the hard counter to Rena. If a Rena is on the enemy mid lane, Gadget is really who you want. Her scaling keeps up with her into the late game very well. She outranges Rena in pretty much all circumstances, can poke Rena out, can just play outside of her range and continue to stack up. Build your Soulbinder, build your Alkrod, and go crazy in the late game. With Gadget, Gadget's win rate is among the highest it's ever been right now, not because she got any buffs or the items she's building got any buffs, but because Rena is so prevalent right now and she counters Rena so well. Gideon, still a decent support, still a decent mid laner for sure. Has the teleport to get your team around as well. Borderline top picks for their role. Definitely borderline top picks for their role, similar to Aurora. Could end up getting moved up later in this tier list, depending on how everything pans out. It has the teleport, which is really nice. The ult still hits hard. The map being bigger does make it harder to catch people in a choke point with his ult, but if you can place it well over a team fight, still very impactful, does a ton of damage. Still doing Gideon things, right? The infinite range rock even I think is a little bit more fun on the bigger map. Greystone, still solid. A decent hero. I don't know if... I'm kind of biased towards Greystone and wanting to say that he's one of the top picks for his role. He does have the jump to get over stuff, but the jump, similar to Sereth's jump and dive, can be a little buggy and get caught on terrain easily. Has the revive for a panic button. Just a solid hero. I mean, loses very few matchups if you're good with him. Very impactful into the late game team fights as well with the ult. Can tower dive well. Not too much to say. Greystone, as good as he's always been, I don't know if he's one of the top picks, but he may end up getting moved up here. I am just trying to manage some bias on him because I am a big fan of Greystone. Grim. Haven't been seeing as many Grims go off as I'm used to. We'll just put him in the decent heroes tier. I think he is alright. It seems like his GTFO execute, bringing them below 5% free Vank augment with the reset on it, seems to really not function a lot of the time, which is unfortunate. Because I've had multiple cases where I drop somebody to like closer to 2 or 3% of their max health and it doesn't execute them. So I don't know if that's bugged right now. We'll find out in the next patch notes if they address that. Just a decent hero. I think he's can compete with the majority of carries right now. Grux, honestly, if you're playing Grux, man, just get a hold of yourself, right? Like, he's not as overpowered as he has been in the past. His bleed damage still feels super oppressive in solo lane. He can still hit his ult if he's building these on-hit items like Sky Splitter, Rapture, and then probably, 1v1 anybody with his ult. He has crazy healing. You have to build anti-heal into him. Anti-heal still isn't strong enough. But yeah, there are better options available. It doesn't have any sort of verticality either to play around the new map, unless you're building like Chieftain's Blink augment on him and then just trying to use his Blink more frequently. But even then, it's just not that great of an option. Okay, an okay hero for sure, but I think there's better options available. Howie feels really good right now. I really like him on the new map as well. I would have him over Gideon, so I'm going to put him over Gideon. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Just feels really good. Has the knockback mine. There's a lot of good use cases of that on the new map in choke points and getting over verticality, especially if you want to take the knockback augment. Has the faster move speed augment. In his ult, to fly around, you can navigate through the jungle super quickly, chase somebody anywhere they're trying to go, being that you're up in the air. The auto attack augment is even still really good and can box most mid laners. Just a good hero, really high skill cap hero. If you get good with him, you can be impactful in pretty much every game. I think, I want to say he's a top 4-ish mage, but the mages are still also good right now. It's kind of hard to draw those comparisons, right? Iggy, not as crazy on the new map as he is on the original map. On Legacy, you're not forcing as many early Fang fights. You're not forcing as many, at least big full team fights. You're not forcing nearly as many orb fights. He does secure those objectives well. He can make the rotation in Legacy from mid lane to get to Fang quickly and set up his turrets on it, but it seems less important than it did in the old map, I think. He's still very good mid laner. But the general gist of the bigger map kind of makes it harder to get his turrets down in as effective of a position as you could on the old map. And he got those balances. I think he's relatively balanced overall right now. One of the still is like a stronger end one, I think, still competitive with Gideon, right? No vertical movement or anything crazy like that. Kalari is an iffy one. You have to kind of work hard or play sharp to get the most out of Kalari, but hard for me not to put her probably towards the end, towards the bottom of top picks for their role, because has crazy verticality, crazy mobility, one of the fastest rotating junglers in the game, the way you're able to double, triple jump over different sort of obstacles to rotate through the jungle fast, to hit her invisibility and move faster as you're rotating through the jungle. Just very quick rotations. Assassins in this heavy damage meta are very good right now, so I think a top pick for their role for sure. Just takes a little practice to get the most out of her. But I've seen a lot of people have crazy Kalari games on the new map for sure. Chimera is still decent. Kind of no way to not put him at top picks for their role, right? Super high win rate as always. I kind of like him more than Feng Mao in the majority of scenarios. At least when I see my teammate pick him, I have more confidence that the Chimera is going to be able to perform better than the average Feng Mao player, but you just never know because a Feng Mao can carry your game probably better than a Chimera can. So we'll slot him right here behind Feng Mao, but yeah, keep in mind this is still a super easy hero to get good value on. Falls off kind of into the late game where you're just trying to dive their most valuable player in ult usually, but has good options for builds, whether you want to go tank or damage. Still a very solid jungler. Viable in solo lane too, for sure. Very oppressive to have to deal with his healing in solo. Kira is kind of always top picks for their role, right? Kira, just the way the dash reset functions, the way her ult, the way with the Mercy interactions, her augments, you really got a good total package here. The most mobile carry in the game with those dash resets. Not too much negative to say about Kira. Very slow clear, very slow start in the early game. You want to have her with the support that's at least going to help you with some clear, because it is really bad clear, especially compared to like a Twin Blast or something. But a solid carry, definitely a top 3-4 pretty consistently, right? Quang, not seeing him as much, doesn't have verticality. Still an absolute menace if you're hitting the sword throws with him, though. You got to keep that in mind. I think he's probably on par with Greystone, maybe. I haven't been seeing him as much. I've seen him in support, probably more than anything on the new map, because people are just kind of trolling and trying to get good value with him there, which you definitely can. Like I said, if you're hitting those tethers, you're going to have good Quang value every single time. I just think he's probably on par with Greystone for the majority of the player base. And then if you are in that super top end and you're just hitting every sword throw, then he's a top pick for you at support, jungle, or solo lane. But for most of the time, I think he's just a really decent hero. Bellica, man, I've been having so much fun on Bellica recently. Still a top mid laner without a doubt. Probably towards the top end of the top mid laners. Just crazy. The auto attack damage output is so oppressive. Most mid laners are not going to be able to box with you. They're going to have to play outside of auto attack range to stay alive in lane against you. She's very viable in carry. Don't let anybody tell you she's not. I've been having really good top damage carry games with her, both on the magical build, based off Prophecy, Plasma Blade, Tainted Rounds, and that type of build, and also on the full physical build with Spectra, Sky Splitter, Viper, Deathstalker. Either way, she can get it done for you. Incredibly strong, crazy kit right now with the silence, with the knock-up that has a questionable hitbox. She's been a top 3. She's going to remain a top 3, I think, for a while. Morgesh, I don't have any respect for Morgesh. I'll let that bias out of the bag. Similar to Grux, I just don't. I'm not a fan of seeing a Morgesh on my team. I'm not a fan of seeing a Morgesh on the other team. It just feels gross that you're just healing an oppressive amount and anti-heal isn't strong enough to deal with that or counter that reasonably. But she has no hard CC. The only CC she has is a slow, and you have to hit her hive for it. If you're actually... It's hard to say, because if you want to win games and you're smashing noobs, Mori is the noob smasher. You could play Mori at carry, you could play Mori at jungle. If you're against a team of noobs, she's going to look like an S tier, ridiculously overtuned hero. But if you're playing against people that are good, they're going to shut her down, they're going to play outside of her hive range, they're going to CC her in team fights and kill her, or they're going to CC her when she kneels down to try to hit her ult. Or they're going to stasis her ult. Either way, very counterable if you know what you're doing. She is the noob smasher hero. I think we'll put her at the bottom of decent heroes just because she is oppressive, does feel overtuned. Not because it's her fault, but because anti-heal items need to be buffed. Morn, blatantly overtuned, absurd right now. Top 3 win rate heroes in the game. Basically unlosable in solo lane with him as long as you play tight and build to your opponent. I put up a recent troll build more, and I've had some people commenting that even that build has been working for them. Even though it's a trash build with Tyranny and Astral Cat and everything, Morn is just so strong. Has the best sustain, bar none, in solo lane. Crazy, great in support, obviously. If you're hitting your pulls, I think he's potentially the #1 support. Definitely top 3 supports. He was last patch before he got buffed. Just a blatantly overtuned hero. Hopefully we see nerfs coming to him soon, because it's too much, man. It's not fair. It's not fair how good Morn is right now. So enjoy it while it lasts, Morn users, because he's in a crazy state. Murdoch, still very valuable, if not more valuable on the new map, because his landmines can cut off great choke points, and because his ult is universal, so you can get those long range snipes way across the map, longer distance than you could on the original map. I don't know if it's really fair to put him right here next to Kira, because you really have to hit a couple of those snipes to get rolling early to get as good a value as you're going to get on someone like Kira. But I will say the landmines cutting off the very minimal amount of rotates and the choke points that are happening around duo lane, around the jungle, feel very good, and you can consistently get more mine value out of him on Legacy than you could on the old map. So, probably fair for him to be around Kira, but I think all the carries in general are going to be placed really tight. I'll probably put him towards the bottom of top picks for their role. because I don't want this tier to be literally every hero, you know. But he is very good, does very well on the new map. Muriel does great on the new map. Does really great on the new map. Feels really tough to play against a Muriel most of the time when she's swinging around that ult and getting huge ult value. I think realistically most of the time more impactful than Decker because of how fast she can rotate with that ult. In a damage heavy meta as well, shields are more valuable, and her damage output in both support and in late game team fights is usually pretty valuable. So I think, yeah, right, basically on par with Decker, if not better, because of how much value you're going to get out of her universal ult in the majority of games. Narbash, still good, a decent hero. Probably around the tier of Argus supports. It's very team comp dependent on when you want the Narbash. If you have no other tanks on your team, then Narbash's healing isn't as beneficial, because if you have big damage dealers, they should just be life stealing and healing very fast. But still has good augments. The attack speed augment is quite nice, helps your team win team fights, helps keep people on your team alive and sustained between team fights. Comp dependent, but still a very decent hero right now. You get a good Narbash on your team, you're going to know it, right? FaZe, probably our first visitor to the low expectations here. Just rarely are you going to get a FaZe on your team, or you're going to play against an enemy FaZe that's really so good that she's swinging team fights or making crazy good plays with the repeated blinks, with the pulls at clutch moments. She can keep her carry very safe and make it really annoying for your jungler as they try to gank into duo lane, because she's going to blink and pull them out every single time. So very good at keeping your carry safe, good at giving your carry extra power, extra attack speed when she hits her ult. But just there's so few situations where I'm like, man, I'm so glad we had a FaZe here instead of a Steel, instead of a Morn. Like, those type of heroes are just consistently going to be more impactful instead of a Muriel or a Decker. Man, it's just, there's that one or two scenarios a game where she can outperform what these other supports can do all game. So if you're great with FaZe, keep playing her, keep enjoying her, but just kind of a rough pick. You have to be exceptionally good with her to get better value than you can out of like a Muriel or Decker. Even a Zinx, I would take over her for sure. Ramp, pretty solid. I think a decent hero. I think definitely on par with like the Quang region. Damage is in, and Ramp really does better in like the tank meta for sure. But you can still get good tiny ramp value and run people down in 1v1s. Viable in support, viable in solo lane as well as jungle. With a long stun. Gets around the map quick, stays healthy in the jungle. He's ramp. You know, you've got good options on him. If your team's willing to play around you as big ramp, it can be very beneficial. If you want to dive people as tiny ramp, it can be beneficial. Just kind of a middle of the road hero right now that can flex multiple roles effectively. Rena, stupid overpowered. Please go to the comments right now and start making your argument for how Rena is balanced or even underpowered, because wait till you see her next patch when she gets her nerfs. Just as every hero is on release, she's ridiculously overtuned. If you are not playing against a Rena and you are in mid lane, you should not be losing it. Gadget is a very hard counter, but I've beat Gadgets as Rena. It's just, her kit is so ridiculous. They put so many tools into each of her abilities. It's really hard to make an argument that this hero isn't blatantly overtuned. Check out my Rena spreadsheet video where I break down her passive scaling. Keep in mind, nerfs are coming soon. There's going to be multiple rounds of nerfs coming. But that spreadsheet will, in the future, give you a view of how overtuned this hero was on release and how obnoxiously overpowered they are releasing heroes in general now. Since the Yuri precedent, it's kind of dumb that they release heroes this strong because, good grief. I mean, these are the top 3 win rate heroes in the game right now, and Rena, man, just feels so oppressive, so impossible to play against. If one team has a Rena and the other doesn't, they should be winning. That's just how it is, man. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but that's how it is. Ometa, get your playtesters on something better, man. I don't know what you're doing with your playtesters. Rev, decent. You have to work hard to get the value out of him, for sure, versus somebody like Kira or Murdoch, who you're really just going to be able to get consistent value with. I think he is decent. I don't think he's as crazy as he was before the nerfs. We'll probably slide him around the middle of the decent heroes tier. Probably on par with that Grim as kind of the niche carry scenario. Grim you're taking for extra magical. Rev you're taking for the potential root or the potential isolation if you get ahead. Just a decent carry, nothing too crazy. If you are good with Rev, he does feel very good right now still for sure. Richter is kind of got to go in the top picks for his role, right? Just because if you're good enough with Richter and you're hitting those pulls at key moments, he just wins duo lane, and then in the late game he just wins team fights because that pull is so impactful. The ult's impactful. The silence has a high skill gap too if you're silencing it. If you're saving it for key silences in big scenarios. Just a top pick for their role. Richter's always been like a top 3, top 4 support if you're good with him, and then like a lower end support if you're just using him as an ult bot. But very strong right now. Still feels great in support. Viable in jungle as well. Viable in solo lane if you're decent with him too. So we'll have him up here around the Muriel and Deckard here. One of the top 4 or 5 supports, I think. Sereth, still very strong, kind of akin to Feng Mao, in which if your Sereth does get ahead, she's capable of carrying the game. She's capable of sweeping, she's capable of big multi-kills, gets around the jungle fast, has good verticality with her leap to get in and out of the jungle and over obstacles, does very well on the new map. Right here with Chimera and Feng Mao, very similar in the range, similar to Countess as well. All of these 4 right here have very similar setups. I think Kai is probably the worst of those as far as the verticality aspect, but still just very solid, very similar heroes for sure. Sev, you're not seeing him too much. I do like how fast you can stack up his passive though, with that slither augment giving you 3 stacks per slither through hero instead of 2. You can hit full stacks tier by the 16-15 minute mark even if you're spamming it. I think a very solid hero in solo lane, just takes a while to get rolling. We'll put him around here in the decent heroes range. It's a damage heavy meta, but often if you're building like your Fire Blossom and your Tainted Guard and your Flux Matrix and stuff, you're gonna still get great damage out of him, so it just takes to the late game to get everything scaled up. So I think around the middle of the decent heroes tier is probably where we want him. Shinbi, it's felt very strong recently. I don't think she's maybe top picks for her role because she does lack the hard CC and she does lack verticality. Similar to Greystone, except for Greystone has the leap. I think those are 2 heroes that are about on par with each other, both very impactful, can win solo lane comfortably with either one of them against nearly any matchup if you're good with them. She has okay augments, nothing crazy, and good build options too, whether you want to go full damage, whether you want to go tank killer, whether you want to go full health with her, and World Breaker as you should be going most games. She has good options, very strong in the late game when you've stacked up a bunch of free ability haste if you take that augment as well. Skylar feels decent right now. I think probably towards the top of the decent heroes tier. I don't think she really breaks into the range of Murdoch's universal ult, Kira with her dash reset. But I think she is very solid. Still one of the best tank killers with her beam. I think we'll put her above ramp. A very decent hero. Good augments. I mean, whether you want to go the slow grenade resetting one or the ult one or whatever, you can make all of them work. They're definitely viable in different builds. Just a great tank killer. If the other team has no tanks, she's still going to be decent. You know, but just a middle of the road carry, I feel like the majority of the time. Doesn't compete with Kira. And does compete with Murdoch very well, though. I'm kind of tempted to put her right here behind Murdoch, but we'll leave her down here for now, see if we want to move her at the end. Sparrow, I think I still want her in the most overtuned tier. I think if I had to pick one carry that is overtuned, it is still Sparrow, just because you will see people who are terrible at the game. You will see people, not to be rude or anything, you will see people who are overall bad at the game, who don't understand your opponent's abilities, who don't have deep game knowledge, who don't have effective build knowledge, who are just, and maybe they don't even have good technical skills or aim, but they are just able to play carry because of Sparrow's ultimate. Sparrow's ultimate will allow them to have a decent carry game and an effective in-game damage number just because of Sparrow's ultimate. So that sounds overtuned to me. They reduced its scaling by 2% in this patch. Who cares? I mean, that does not affect how strong this ability is. The bottom of the most overtuned tier because it's not as obnoxious as these other ones, but still just ridiculous. The fact that one hero's ultimate can just make or break the entire team, can win team fights by itself, can carry you through bad aim and everything. It's just a bit much, right? It's a bit much. Steel, tempted to put him at top picks for his role. Is very strong consistently, gets around well, still wins solo lane, still is a great tank support. You can still play jungle with him too if you really like. I think we'll slide him around here. I mean, those nerfs that he did get before 1.7, reducing his damage output, are still kind of being felt, but it's not too crazy. I think he's still very solid for sure. Terra, oh man, I mean, low expectations, unfortunately, on Terra. She was, I thought, in a good spot prior to 1.7, where she was good if you worked hard and got the most out of her, but most people couldn't do that. Then she got some nerfs. She did get kind of a mixed bag. Some stuff got better, like the faster axe, flying speed, but still just really low expectations when I see a Terra on my team. You're probably not seeing her much yourself because few people are willing to take the risk with her, but you can make it work. Like I said, I think if every hero is viable right now, if you're good enough with them and you're building well and you're playing to your opponent, she is very much still viable, but it's just a low expectations hero for me. I don't, when I see my team take a Terra, unless it's like somebody I know, like I see Mandarin playing her or whatever, I'm not holding high expectations for the Terra pick. I've tried her a couple times. It's just, you have to work pretty hard to get the most out of her. So I think there are better options available, but also I hold low expectations for her. Faye, still very decent, right? It's kind of dependent on how good you are with the nettles. I don't think most people are as good with her as they're going to be with Bellica, because Bellica just makes it easy with the knock-up spam, with the crazy auto-attack damage. But I think she's still like a top 3, top 4 mid laner. Better than Howie, for sure, in the majority of games, if you're hitting your nettles. I think we'll slide her right around here with Kira. Still a top 3, maybe even top 2 win rate mid laner in like ranked scenarios. Doesn't have anything crazy that she brings to the new map. No vertical, stuff to play around with her. Just a good mid laner that can win lane every single time if you're consistently hitting your nettles. So it is what it is. Still a top mid laner at their role for sure. Twin has actually felt pretty insane. I think I've had him kind of low for a while, but he feels quite good now. I don't know what it is about the new map that makes him feel so good. If it's his mobility, similar to how Kira has, if it's just the build options, or if it's just the damage forward meta that we're in right now, where you can often build lifesteal and crit and stuff with him, and do more damage faster than a lot of heroes can, and kind of out-sustain them. I don't know what it is, but he feels really good right now. I don't really know if I want to put him on the Murdoch and Kira tier, but his win rate in ranked has supported that he is one of the top carries, but I think we'll set him just right here next to Skylar for now and see if I want to move him up later, because he is very decent right now for sure. Wraith has good vertical options because he can shoot through all terrain, which is pretty valuable on the new map. But you really, you have to work hard with him. You have to hit those knock-knocks. The rewind is pretty impactful because it'll put people often in a very bad position. it's hard for me not to say that there are better options available, because it seems like there are generally better options available than Wraith almost every time, until you get to that 20 minutes in when your Wraith is, 5-1 or whatever he is, and then it's starting to get to that point where it's like, okay, Wraith is the best option we have here, but it's pretty rare that you're going to see your team pulling that off. Still the lowest win rate hero in the game, as always will be, right, because of just the nature of his kit and how hard he is to use, and the slow start, poor clear in mid lane. But good. I think he does benefit from the new map. I just don't think that there's many situations where you're picking him either at mid lane or carry right now because his competition is so stiff. So we'll put him at the top of B tier. Keep in mind, though, if you're just really good with him, this is a S tier potential hero. Wukong, man. Wukong seems like he would be really overpowered and super OP and just like crazy with the mobility, similar to Kalari on the new map. But you still have to like get the most out of him. He got those nerfs and that kind of across his kit, and that kind of brought him into a fairer position. I think you still will occasionally see the Wukong that like sweeps and carries and does everything for your team. But it's not going to be as often as you would expect. His mobility is still very valuable, if not more valuable, of course, on the new map. But he probably deserves, realistically, to be right here next to Kalari. But it's kind of hit or miss. He does have good build options. I'm very torn on Wukong because I'm not a big fan of him, but I've seen Wukongs do well, just like how I've seen Kalari's do well on the new map. Yin, another one you would think she would be very effective with the verticality she brings, being able to whip up on top of stuff, pull herself around on the new map. But it's really pretty comp dependent on if they have projectiles that are valuable to deflect. If they have the Sparrow, you try to catch Sparrow's ult and deflect it. Stuff like that. I don't really know where we want to put her because it's a mixed bag. She is easier to use and in a better place now than she was prior to the augment system still. But where does she really fall? I mean, she could easily fall here in the decent heroes. I think she's really strong late game once you get her rolling. But I don't know if she really competes with like these other jungle options. Right, there's a lot of junglers that are really strong right now, or at least feel like it, so I think we will put her up here. Yeah, I think we'll put her up here in Decent Heroes. Yuri, or Yurei, however it's supposed to be pronounced, or however you pronounce it, I think is still a top pick for the role. Got the nerfs, but it's just a fundamentally strong hero with a dash reset and with an ult that can win team fights. An ult that is still better than Fey ult. Probably in this kind of Wukong Kalari tier. Not nearly as overtuned as she was. Realistically, she could be up here, I guess, with the Fang Mount. I mean, if you're playing her well, she's still fundamentally strong with the dash reset and a team fight winning ultimate. But is more balanced now. Is definitely more balanced now. I think we probably like her around here. Zarus. I had a really good game with Zarus recently. I think Zarus is decent. I think if you get him scaled up into the late game, he's going to be in a really good spot for you. But you really need to stack his Coliseum up a couple times and get him roll. He did feel really well. I mean, I think I went 23-1 in that game or something with him. If you get rolling, he's insane. If you get behind on him, you're going to have a tough go. I think to that token, it's a very similar story as Shinbi. But he does have like a stun and stuff to set up for his team. Maybe we like him right here around Ramp and Quang. I think that's probably the fairest spot for him. Not the most similar to them, but still a very fair spot for him, I feel like. And then Zinx. I think I kind of hold the opinion that there's better options available than Zinx. The majority of the time doesn't bring anything crazy in the verticality game like Decker does, doesn't bring anything crazy in the universal presence game like Muriel does, has good damage output but still not as good as Muriel. Has good hard CC and a chain, but still doesn't have the infinite range of Decker. Just kind of is outcompeted right now by some of these other ranged supports in the majority of scenarios, but you can still get great value with Zinx if you're hitting those revives on clutch teammates at clutch moments. You're going to get huge value out of her. So let's see if we want to adjust anybody around here. I think Rena, blatantly the most overtuned hero, going to be number 1. I think Boris is right there next to her. Morn is up there as well. And then Sparrow still doesn't feel good having a hero who can be bad in every other aspect, but then hit her ult and win her team the game. Top picks for their role. Do we really want Countess up here? I don't think Countess... Belica is just too consistently strong, right? So I think Belica up here. I think Seraph up here. More people are going to get better value out of her than they can on these heroes that take a little bit more practice. I think Chimera is still a top win rate hero, but doesn't have the verticality. You could easily build moon boots on Chimera, I guess, but and I've done it and had fun with it, but I think he's still a top pick for his role, just doesn't have the verticality for the legacy-specific situations. Same deal with Crunch. Very good in solo after level 6, but doesn't have the most verticality. Same deal with Faye. Still a great mid laner, doesn't have verticality. Kira, a very top-end carry. Rick, generally as impactful as the ranged supports right now of Muriel and Decker. I mean, realistically, like, Steel could be up here too if you're just really good with him, because it's just the nature of how you're going to be playing tank support. But just too impactful with the pull. If you're able to hit the pull, he wins your duo lane for you for free. Or if you're playing against a Richter that's insane at support, you just lost duo lane. You're surprised. Their Rick's good. You've lost duo lane. So I think just for that reason, he's got to still be up here. Howie, a solid mid laner. I think generally better damage and burst than the Gideon, and better augments overall than the Gideon, but kind of similar. They're really tighter than this list shows for sure. Yuri, Wukong, Kalari all do very well on the new map. Yuri's still very strong. Murdoch, bottom of the top picks tier. I think he is still a top pick. Maybe it's getting to that borderline. It's definitely getting to that borderline on him. But the universal presence and the mine effectiveness, specifically on Legacy, are very good, especially if you get some practice with them. Greystone, very decent. Shinbi, very decent. Twin Blast could move higher than this. Realistically, I think all the carries are very tight. Skylar, yeah, very competitive. Twin Blast, I've just been having better games with recently, so I feel like I should have him up here. Yin probably should actually slide down a little bit. She is very good, but you're going to have to, like... It's later into the game before she gets online, as well as some of these other heroes. Like Steel realistically should probably slide up here closer to Greystone because of how consistent you're going to get value out of them. Zarish, you got to get those Coliseum stacks up or scale into the late game with his augment for the health and power plus Aegis of Aguilar plus Overlord or something. Quang, you got to be able to hit the sword throws. It's similar token though to Rick, so it's kind of not that fair to have them this far apart, because you could just be really good with the sword throws and shut people down. They're nearly as impactful a lot of the time as a Rick pull, just not quite. Yin, Gideon still strong. Iggy still strong. Gideon very solid for his verticality. I could probably slide him up. I think he is better specifically on Legacy than some of these other heroes. Iggy with no verticality. Aurora probably as well. I think we order it more like Aurora above ramp, Quang above ramp. I think on average, that's kind of the closer to how it's going to feel, with Aurora and Quang being very tight, and then Ramp and Zaris having more hit or miss games. Sev very strong. It takes into the late game scaling, though, to get him online. Rev, you got to work for. Gadget, very strong late game, but pretty slow and pretty terrible damage per second early. Narb, comp dependent. Argus, skill dependent. Grim, comp dependent. If you have all magical, Grim is a death sentence for your team. And Morigesh, I mean, realistically, there are better options available than Morigesh. Like, let's be honest, if you're resulting to playing Morgesh, it's just because you wanted to have an easy game and you're hoping that the other team aren't good. Because if the other team are good, you're cooked. I think there are better. I mean, look at the options. You have really crazy options in mid lane right now. Like, you should either basically be playing Rena or playing Gadget to counter Rena a lot of the time, or just want to play Faye or Howie or Gideon or whatever for fun. Mori or Bellica especially. I mean, geez, Bellica just counters so much. I'm just it is biased, but I think Mori is not good, man. It's the Noob Slayer 3000 for sure. Wraith you have to work really hard for. There are generally better options available at both mid and carry, but you can still have incredible games with him. I mean, very tight, it's very skill dependent on him. Zinx, you just have better range support options. Drongo, you have better carry options with stronger passives and stronger augments. Grux, have some self-respect and go play Marvel Rivals or whatever. He's not as overpowered as he has been, but he's still very oppressive. And it just feels gross. Whether I'm playing Grux, seeing Grux on my team, or seeing Grux on their team, it gives me like a bad taste in my mouth, you know. Terra, you have to work really hard for, but you can still get great value out of her. Her ult's still impactful. Still has a long-range root. Still has a great dash with a shield attached to it and a stun. I just got mysterious nerfs. I don't really know why. I thought she was in a good spot. Finally, she was in a decent spot. And then she got nerfs right as some items that you'd really like to build on or got buffed too. So it's kind of unfortunate. And then Phase, once again, I think it's going to be my lowest hero, just because it's so rare that you see a good Phase, and so rare that a Phase is really like impactful or more impactful than a Muriel Decker. Even a Zinx I would take over a Phase on my team pretty much every time. So that's going to do it for the tier list. I will zoom out here and get the whole tier list fit on the screen a little bit better. But that's what I've got. Let me know in the comments, where did I get it wrong? Where did I overstate how good a hero was or understate how good a hero was? Because I know everybody's got different opinions. Keep in mind, this is for Legacy specifically. So some heroes like Kalori, who I would not normally have up here on the old map, do better on Legacy. Decker the same way. These heroes do better on Legacy. Muriel, they have universal ults. They have better vertical presence. And that translates to generally more consistently impactful on the Legacy Agora map. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Check out the Rena spreadsheet video. Check out the Morn solo lane troll build video that I put up recently. Both of those I thought they were pretty good videos. I know some people benefited from just seeing some funny Morn gameplay and seeing Rena with her ridiculous passive scaling, crazy overtuned on release, as expected. Who could have called that, right? Who would have guessed? But thanks everybody for stopping by. Come hang out with us in the live streams, talk about the meta live, watch us play some games, recommended some heroes or some builds for me to try out, and I'll give them a try. We'll keep enjoying Pred with the goons, and I hope you guys do too. So we'll see you in the next one. Keep enjoying Pred, folks. Just keep enjoying Pred.